Have you considered joining a flat share, but you don't feel like living with strangers? Do you dream of sharing a flat with your two best friends? Or maybe you're just curious to see what the London market looks like right now. As you know, living alone in London is far from easy. I have made several videos where I show you studio flat options in London on a budget of £1,000 per month. However, living in a studio flat in London is expensive and you might not get the best value for your money. The alternative is to share. You could find a room to rent with strangers, or you could find a bigger flat to rent with your friends. I like the second option better because I think it's a lot easier to share a living space with people that you already know. So for today's video, I've looked at 3-bedroom flats for a maximum budget of £2,500 per month. So if you are sharing with two friends, this would bring each share to around £830 per month. The main challenge with this search was to find properties that had 3 bedrooms of good size. Usually in 3-bedroom properties, the third bedroom is not even big enough to fit a double bed. In my opinion, if you're going to share a flat with other people, everybody should have a decent personal space. So I went through I don't even know how many listings to find flats or houses that have 3 double bedrooms, that are well located, and that are under £830 per person, which is more or less £2,500 per month total. Let's dive in. This first flat is advertised at £2,450 per month, which would be just above £800 per person. It is very well located in South London, it is very central. We have 3 bedrooms that might not be the biggest, but I think they're still okay. We have a good size living room and we have a separate kitchen that looks very modern. The bathroom is also very nice and we have windows for good ventilation. And there is even a balcony. The flat was also reduced by £50 since it was first listed. And there is a video, so let's have a look. Okay, so from the entrance door, just here on the left, we have the bathroom. And opposite the bathroom, we have the first bedroom. The second bedroom is a very similar size, maybe slightly smaller. I'm wondering what's behind this door. My guess is that it is either a utility cupboard, a toilet, or storage space. I think a second toilet would be more convenient, but in each case, it's a plus. Then here on the left, we have the separate kitchen with a door to the balcony. There is plenty of storage and good counter space. And here is the balcony. You won't organize a huge party here, but I think it's always nice to have somewhere where you can put a couple of chairs and enjoy the fresh air. I think this is the living room and you have another balcony. I agree, the view is not the best. This living room is quite standard. It is a square, so it will be easier to furnish. You also have windows on 2 different walls, which is better to bring more light into the room. And it looks clean and well maintained. On to the last room, which is the third bedroom. I think this is the biggest bedroom. So I like this flat, I think it is a good deal. I think its biggest plus is the location. It is very central. It is also clean and very modern. We have 2 balconies, one in the kitchen and one in the living room. And I like the fact that there is a separate kitchen. It gives us 2 distinct living spaces, which means that you could have 1 flatmate in the kitchen and 2 in the living room, which would limit the overcrowd of 1 unique living space. In the cons, I'd say that this flat is not big, even though in my opinion the location justifies the size. It also doesn't look very bright. It could be just a very cloudy day, but I would need to check that during a viewing and make sure that there is enough light coming into the flat. We also only have 1 bathroom and the toilet is in the bathroom. This could make it challenging in the morning if all 3 flatmates need to get ready for work, for instance. If I were to share this flat with friends, I think it would make sense to split the rent this way. The 2 smaller bedrooms could be at £800 per month and the bigger one at £850 per month. I think it is impossible to find a flat with the exact same 3 bedrooms, but I also think it's not fair for someone who has a smaller bedroom to pay the same price as the one with the bigger bedroom. If you split rent this way, everybody has something to gain from it. If you can afford a slightly higher rent, you get the bigger bedroom, and if you get one of the other bedrooms, at least the smaller rent reflects the smaller size. Next. We are really upping our standards with this next flat. We are now a lot less central, but we are gaining in space. This flat is advertised at £2,500 per month or around £830 per person, and it is located in Peckham in South London. Even though it is not located in central London, it is right on the high street, so you still have plenty of shops and restaurants nearby. This flat is around 92 square meters or just under 1000 square feet. All the bedrooms are more than big enough and around the same size, but one of them has an ensuite. The living room has an open-plan kitchen and a balcony, and there is a separate utility room for the washing machine. Here's the building. The building looks new and modern. I really like the living room. It is big and modern and we have big windows. I also like the fact that even though it is an open plan kitchen, there is still enough space to have a distinct living room area and kitchen area. You could put a corner sofa on here, a dining table here in the middle. The kitchen doesn't have a lot of counter space, which is why I think a big dining table would be helpful, but it has plenty of storage. Here is the main bathroom. There is no window, but it is big. Here we are in the first bedroom, which, as I said, is a very good size. It is a bit dark, but it's hard to say if it's because the flat itself is dark or because it's a dark day. There is also integrated storage, which is always a plus. Here is the second bedroom, which is again very big. This room feels a lot brighter, and I assume the photos of both rooms were taken on the same day, which might mean that indeed we have a brightness issue in the first bedroom. This is not a red flag, just something to be mindful of. Here's the third bedroom. Look at all this space. We again have integrated storage in this room. And here's the ensuite. It has no window, but it is big, modern and clean. If this is important for you, this flat doesn't come with parking. There is a video, so let's have a look. There is a lift, which is always a plus. Starting with the bathroom. That's a nice bathroom. I'd say the living room looks slightly smaller than in pictures, but it's still a very good size. The balcony is not big, but it's here. As we saw for the kitchen, there isn't a lot of counter space. There is a dishwasher that's perfect, integrated fridge, and plenty of storage. The hallway itself is quite big, and you have space for coats and shoes, which is great. Here's the first bedroom, which is quite dark as we saw before. This room might be dark because of the two walls on each side of the window, which might be blocking the light. Here's the second bedroom, more than enough space and a better view. And again, big integrated storage. That's the utility room, and to be honest, it's better than what I expected. All the bedrooms are big and already have integrated storage, but this would be great for extra storage space if you need it. And finally, the third bedroom, plenty of space, a big ensuite. To recap, I love this flat. If you don't mind being slightly further away from London Central, I think this is a very good opportunity. The biggest plus is that it is very spacious. All the bedrooms have more than enough space, they all have integrated storage. We have 2 bathrooms, we have a utility room, there is a balcony. The building itself looks quite new, modern and well maintained. And it is also on the high street, so it is close to shops and restaurants. For the cons, even if all bedrooms are similar size, one of them is a lot darker than the other two. There isn't a lot of counter space in the kitchen, and there is no parking space. For me, the pros really outweigh the cons here, and I would jump on this opportunity if I needed to move. In terms of individual rents, this is how I would split it. The highest rent for the room with the ensuite, £815 for this room, and a slightly lower rent for this room, which is a lot darker. This light, brightness situation might seem like a minor detail, but in my experience, it is so important. Which is why, in my opinion, whoever gets this room deserves to pay a bit less. Let's move on. This flat is a bit cheaper. It is advertised at £2,250 per month or £750 per person. It is located in North London and it is right next to a high street, which means that it is close to shops, restaurants and public transports. Here is the floor plan. In pink we have the bedrooms. 2 of them are very similar size and the third one is quite a bit smaller. Actually, bedroom 2 is 9.5 square meters or 100 square feet, and for me it is the bare minimum for a bedroom. At the beginning of the video, I was saying that I only selected flats that had 3 decent-sized bedrooms. I don't think we should charge rent to someone for living in a big closet. So this flat just made it into the selection. We also have 1 bathroom plus 1 separate toilet and what looks like a small utility room. Let's have a look at the pictures. Here is the living room. We have big windows. The furnishing is a bit random. It looks like we have a sofa, but it's tucked away in front of the window. And then in front of the TV, we have 1 armchair and a bookshelf. But this is a minor detail and that can always be changed by the tenants. This room looks huge. We have a proper space for the living area, a dining space and the kitchen at the back. I like this kitchen, plenty of storage, plenty of counter space, it's bright, modern, nothing to say. Well, there is no window, which would be the only downside. Here is, I think, the biggest bedroom. There is this huge window, which is great and makes the room very bright. However, I think it looks bigger than it actually is because they put a single bed in the room. We just need to be mindful of that. Here is the second biggest bedroom. There is space for storage and a double bed. And here is the smallest bedroom. As you can see, they put a single bed in it. This is probably a child's bedroom at the moment. We could make it work with a double bed, but it wouldn't leave a lot of space around it. This is the hallway, here's the separate toilet, and here's the bathroom with an interesting choice of tiles, but at least it looks clean and modern. From reading the description, it looks like this tiny room that I thought was a utility room is actually just extra storage space, which is good to have because the hallway didn't look big enough to have all the coats and shoes. And there is also storage for bicycles in the building. Let's do a quick recap. For the pros, there is the location. It is close to shops, restaurants, and public transport. There is a huge reception room. There is an additional toilet. There is bicycle storage in the building. And it is on the cheaper side and fits well into our £2,500 per month budget. If it was my friends and me, this is how I would split rent. I would do similar rent for the two bigger bedrooms and slightly cheaper for the smaller bedroom. It also looks like we have two small closets in the hallway, so I would give this extra storage space to the person with the smaller bedroom. Let's go to the next property. Here we have a flat advertised at £2,400 per month, which is £800 per person. It is located in North London, and once again it is close to a high street, which means shops, restaurants and public transport. This floor plan is a bit overwhelming, but we have 3 bedrooms of different size. There is the master bedroom with the ensuite, what looks like a double bedroom, and then the third bedroom looks like it is a single bedroom. We also have an open plan kitchen and a lot of storage in the hallway. I have just used the dimensions that they give in the floor plan to see how big each of the rooms were, and there is quite a big difference. They are all above my 9 square meter or 100 square feet lower limit, but we would definitely need to think about how to split the rent for this one. Let's have a look at the pictures. Very big reception room. The ensuite is very modern, even though there is no window. We can see in the pictures what we saw on the floor plan. The bedrooms are of very different size. There is a large balcony. We could fit a few chairs here and probably a small table as well. It says in the description that the place comes furnished, but from what I've seen, the furnishing is very basic. For instance, there is no coffee table, no wardrobe in the bedroom. So this is something that we should carefully check during a viewing and see what is actually in the flat. And this is everything I have for you today. If you found the video useful, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. And let me know in the comments which apartment was your favorite and why. I would love to hear your thoughts. I will see you next week, and in the meantime, I suggest that you watch this video next.